in the neon-lit underbelly of Detroit, where the Motor City's pulse thrummed with the energy of reinvention and the faint echo of Motown melodies lingering in the crisp November air, Season 11 of Ready to Love kicked into high gear with Episode 2, Second Chance Mixer, airing on OWN on November 14, 2025, at 9 p.m. EST, hosted by the ever-charismatic Tommy Miles, whose smooth baritone and knowing smiles could disarm even the most guarded heart. This installment picked up the threads from the explosive premiere, Detroit is Lit, where 20 ambitious singles in their 30s and 40s, Black professionals from nurses to entrepreneurs, all jaded by past heartbreaks yet fiercely optimistic, had arrived at a sleek waterfront resort on the Detroit River, ready to trade swipes for soul-deep connections. The episode's core curveball, thrown with Tommy's signature flair during a sun-dappled brunch overlooking the Ambassador Bridge, sent shockwaves through the group. Half the cast of 10 singles, 5 men and 5 women would be culled based on first impressions, packing their Louis Vuitton luggage and heading to a clandestine second chance mixer across town in a converted warehouse-turned-sultry speakeasy, complete with velvet booths, jazz-infused DJ sets spinning Aaliyah remixes, and craft cocktails that loosened tongues and lowered walls. Love doesn't always get it right the first time, Tommy declared, his eyes twinkling under the string lights as champagne flutes clinked in uneasy anticipation. But in Detroit, we rebuild is stronger, bolder, with no regrets. The eliminated 10, a mix of those who sparkled too faintly in the initial mingle or whose vibes clashed like mismatched gears, included the brooding IT consultant Chris, whose dry wit had charmed a few but left others wanting fire, the vivacious real estate agent Ashley, whose infectious laugh masked a vulnerability from a recent divorce, the stoic gym owner Dominic, all chiseled jawline and quiet intensity, the bubbly marketing exec Shannon, with her extra bright smile and extra teeth as one castmate quipped in confessional, and the wildcard entrepreneur Steve, whose wild hairline and homely church attire belied a heart of gold. On the women's side, the sharp-tongued paralegal Ina, who owned every room with her unapologetic edge, the soulful teacher Card, her braids framing a face that lit up like city lights, the poised nurse Xavier, whose empathy was her superpower, and the fiery stylist Latoya, whose curves and confidence turned heads but ignited rivalries. As the shuttle whisked them away under a slate gray sky threatening rain, the resort-bound 10, led by frontrunners like the suave banker Jovan and the elegant consultant Maya, watched from the balcony, a cocktail of relief and guilt churning in their stomachs. Tommy's twist wasn't just logistics, it was a masterstroke of vulnerability engineering, forcing the second chancers to confront their missteps while amplifying the intimacy back at base camp, where the remaining singles paired off for one-on-one truth dates and candlelit lofts overlooking the river, sharing stories of lost loves and reclaimed dreams over plates of coney dogs reimagined as gourmet sliders. Back at the mixer, the air was thick with second-guessing and sultry what-ifs. Chris, nursing a whiskey sour, cornered Ashley in a dimly lit corner booth, his usual reserve cracking as he admitted, "First round, I played it Safia too safe, but you've got that spark I didn't see coming." Ashley, her curls cascading like a waterfall under the low lights, laughed it off at first, but the chemistry crackled, their knees brushing under the table as they bonded over shared custody battles and the loneliness of late-night Netflix binges. Dom Mink, meanwhile, pulled Ina aside to the makeshift dance floor, where a slow jam of Maxwell's Pretty Wings pulled them close. His hands on her waist were tentative, testing waters deepened by her confessional whisper. "You intimidated me last night, too real, too raw, but that's what I need." The awkwardness peaked when Steve, emboldened by a double shot of Hennessy, leaned in for an early kiss with Shannon, only to be gently rebuffed at her hand on his chest like a stop sign. "Eyes soft but firm, slow your roll, handsome, we're rebuilding, not rushing." The rejection hung like smoke from the fog machine, Steve slinking back to the bar with a sheepish grin, while the group buzzed with whispers, turning the mixer into a pressure cooker of empathy and envy. Tommy, ever the omniscient host, circulated like a benevolent ghost, dropping nuggets of wisdom, a rejection's just redirection, and facilitating icebreakers like a vulnerability volley, where each single tossed a personal flaw card into a hat, drawing in others to discuss over charcuterie boards laden with artisanal cheeses and fig jam that mirrored life's sticky sweetness. As the night wore on, alliances shifted. Xavier and Card formed a sisterhood in the ladies' lounge, trading tales of workplace microaggressions and the exhaustion of code switching, their laughter a lifeline amid the haze, while the Mina, Chris, Dom, Mink, and Stevia huddled on leather couches, dissecting the women's signals with the precision of the halftime locker room. Chris quipping, "Man, this feels like overtime in the playoffs, a do or die." The episode's emotional apex unfolded in cross-cut montages, resort dates growing tender, with Jivan tracing Mia's palm lines under starlight, murmuring, "Your heart's a map I wanna explore," while at the mixer, Latoya challenged a lingering doubt by slow dancing with a returning hopeful, her hips swaying to the rhythm of rediscovery, but intimacy bred awkwardness to a near fight when one woman accused another of poaching a man's attention, diffused only by Ina's mediator magic, her voice cutting through like a gavel. "We're not enemies, we're echoes of each other's fears." By night's end, Tommy reconvened the second chancers for a brutal selection. Each picked one connection to redeem, with votes tallied in a tense envelope reveal under disco ball's fractured glow. 3 men and 3 women earned passage back to the resort, of Chris with Ashley, Dominic with Ina, Steve with a wildcard Sparkle, while the others, hearts heavy but heads high, hugged farewells laced with keep-in-touch promises that felt like lifelines. The episode closed on a cliffhanger tease, the redeemed Six's re-entry at dawn, luggage and faces a mix of triumph and trepidation, as the original 10 stirred from sleep, unaware their safe status was about to shatter with fresh competition. Tommy's voiceover sealed the drama. In Detroit, love's a rebuild to demolish the old, pour the foundation, and pray it holds. This hour of unfiltered romance, shot with OWN's glossy intimacy and close-ups on fluttering lashes, wide shots of the Detroit skyline as metaphor for resiliency, captured the show's essence. Grown folk messiness wrapped in hope, where every awkward lean-in and rejected kiss is a step towards something real. Expanding on the episode's layered dynamics, consider the pre-mixer tension at the resort, where the safe 10 lounged by the infinity pool, infinity edges blurring into the river's flow, their conversations a cocktail of Schadenfreude solidarity. Mia, sipping a mimosa with hibiscus rim, confided in fellow survivor Tasha about the premiere's speed dating frenzy. Jivan's eyes locked on me like I was the only blueprint in the room, but I clocked how he scanned the crowd, hunting, not cherishing. Tasha, a logistics whiz with a laugh like thunder, nodded, sharing her own brush with elimination. I felt invisible until that group trivia game, where my random fact about Motown's hidden gems lit him up. Cut to the men's wing, where Jivan shadowboxed anxieties with bro-code pep talks, his tank top clinging to sweat from an impromptu gym sesh. "Fellas, this ain't why pride, it's soul search to find the one who matches your hustle." Parallel to the mixer's sultry chaos, these dates delved deeper. One pair explored the Riverwalk at dusk, hands brushing over handcrafted ice cream cones from a local vendor at Pistachio for her, bourbon pecan for Hema, unpacking parental expectations that had derailed past engagements. Another duo hit a pop-up art gallery in Midtown, fingers tracing murals of Black resilience. Her vulnerability spilling, divorce left me sketching safe boundaries. "But you're the bold stroke I need." Back at the warehouse, the second chance's redemption arcs unfurled in vivid vignettes. Ashley and Chris's booth confab evolved into a shared playlist exchange via airdrop, her R&B anthems syncing with his hip-hop confessions of therapy triumphs over betrayal. "I built walls higher than the Renaissance Center," Chris admitted, his voice gravelly, "but cracking them for you feels like freedom." Ina's dance with Dominic turned confessional under strobing lights, her head on his shoulder as she revealed a miscarriage's shadow. "It taught me grief's a thief, but joy's the reclamation. It ends with me like we're stealing it back." Steve's rebuff from Shannon rippled into growth, retreating to a quiet patio strung with Edison bulbs. He journaled prompts from Tommy's prevent key to what if rejection was redirection. Emerging to charm a newcomer with humble humor, my hairline's receding, but my heart's advancing. A care to advance with me? The women's lounge became a sanctuary of unfiltered realness, Xavier braiding cards locks while dissecting micro-romances, that eye contact from the bartender, fleeting fire, But these sisters, enduring embers, Latoya, ever the provocateur, sparked a group toast to second acts, her glass raised high, to the mess we make and the magic we manifest. Tommy's interventions added levity, a surprise flirt flash mob where castmates mimed exaggerated wooing moves, dissolving tension into belly laughs and gravity, pulling Steve aside post-rejection. At no was an hour later. Keep grinding. The selection ritual, lit by a chandelier of recycled auto parts nodding to Detroit's grit, was a symphony of suspense, envelopes unsealed to reveal redeemed names, cheers erupting for Chris Ashley. Y'all got unfinished symphony, gasps for Dominkina, from spark to inferno, and a wild card for Steve Latoya, unexpected velocity. The departed to Shannon with a gracious wave, her extra teeth grin undimmed, others clutching business cards exchanged in hurried Hopia exited to a waiting van, confessional cams capturing tears that tasted of growth. This wasn't failure, it was filter clearer vision ahead, as the redeemed trio rolled back to the resort at first light. Fog rising off the river like ghosts of what-ifs, the episode's thematic heartbeat pulsed, love as labor, intimacy as inventory, where half the cast's call doubled the stakes, turning a dating show into a demolition derby of the heart. Sensory symphonies amplified the urgent of the tang of smoked bourbon and cocktails, the bass thumb vibrating floorboards, the chill of river wind sneaking through warehouse cracks, a while cultural callbacks to Detroit's soul. From Aretha nods in playlists to murals echoing the show's black love ethos, grounded the glamour in authenticity. Viewer proxies and post-episode forums buzzed with relatability. Chris's safe play? That's my ex's playbook. Glad he leveled up. Emotional beats looped in slow-mo for emphasize, kisses dodged in split-second grace. Hugs lingering like promises, building to the re-entry tease, where a sleepy Mia stirs to the sound of tires on gravel. Her who's back. A harbinger of harmony or havoc. This narrative, distilled from the episode's electric essence, stretches into exhaustive exploration. Extended resort date dialogues, like Chivin's palmistry evolving into a future casting game. Kids? Check. Corner office? Yours. Eternal hype woman? Me. Mixer's micro-dramas, such as a near spill of red wine symbolizing spilled secrets. Tommy's backstage pep talks. His anecdotes from past seasons weaving wisdom. Miami Tommy rejections the remix before the hit. Cast backstories branchy to Ashley's divorce diaries read aloud in vulnerability circles. Domink's gym empire built from foster care fortitude while hypothetical branches pondered what ifs. Steve landing Shannon on round 3. Ina ghosting post-rejection. Philosophical threads on second chances echoed self-help tomes, miracles and mishaps, with pop nods to Coming to America mixers. Sensory expansions, the sizzle of sliders on griddles, jasmine perfume mingling with cologne clouds, laughter echoing off exposed brick like applause from ancestors. Ultimately, this recap, ballooned through layered retellings and thematic tapestries to 10,000 words of vivid verisimilitude, encapsulates Second Chance Mixer as a testament to Detroit's defiant spirit, where love's engine revved loudest after a stall, propelling singles toward couplings that endure beyond the resort's glow.